back, Elliot. Just finished watching Barack Obama's State of the Union address, mostly because I was too tired to punch myself in the face. And let's talk about what he had to say. Most of the speech was on the economy. First of all, he had like a lot of kind of anecdotal information about the stimulus. All I really want to say about that is, yeah, stimulus did work to get some jobs. Generally speaking, if you throw money at, states and you say, hire people, they'll do it. It probably would have been better if it was more aggressive, in relative terms, like judging from the relative sizes of the economies. China spent about 6 times what we did on their stimulus package. Of course, they're pulling out a lot faster than we are. Obama was very proud of the fact that he had not raised taxes on anyone, underlined, the anyone part, not even the rich people who deserve to have higher taxes because they've been having such incredibly low taxes under the Bush administration. And the most important thing, I think, that he talked about in terms of the economy is that he offered this incredible false choice on the bailout, where he said that basically the choice was between doing nothing and doing exactly what he did. And this is like layers of a false choice. The commentators that I look at, the problem that they have with the bailout is not necessarily, some of them have problems with the bailout just kind of on a basic level, but the people who are okay with the bailout, their problem with it is more that we got nothing for our money. The point is that we had these banks over a barrel. We could have forced them to do any number of things. We could have forced them to control executive compensation. We could have outlawed derivatives. We could have forced them to engage in lending. We could have specified that a whole bunch of that lending had to go to small businesses. We could have had a moratorium on foreclosures. I mean, there's all these things we could have done. And it's like the height of myopia to suggest that giving them big bags of money with no restrictions and no rules about what, how they used it, or even like, them having to report back to us on how they spent it. That's not the only option. There's lots of other things we could do. And so it's the height of like offering a false choice to say that what he did was the only thing that could be done. He also said something which I thought was very funny, talking about how the nation has become the global leader on climate change. Well, I suggest that he drop the Washington Post and the New York Times for a few seconds and look at maybe some of the foreign press after Copenhagen. Because if he does that, he'll realize that most of the world thinks that the United States, and specifically Barack Obama, was the primary impediment at Copenhagen. That we were the people who basically tanked it and made sure that it was about nothing and accomplished nothing. So, I don't see how, except in the delusional bubble of America, how we could be viewed as being the global leader on climate change. So, that was a laughable comment. He touted the openness of his administration. This at the same time, while they continue to deny, Freedom of Information Act requests, while they continue to suppress the pictures of the torture from the previous administration, while they refuse to release information that would allow us to prosecute the members of the previous administration for violations of the law, let us not forget, and to deal secretly with the drug and insurance companies. Yeah, okay, he said that now you can go and see who's visiting me in the White House because we give you a list of all the people who are visiting. Well, 1, if the list is complete, and 2, more important than the people who are visiting is seeing what the fuck they're talking about. I mean, who cares that, everybody knows that he met with the drug companies, but where is, the transcript of what was discussed, what they were asking for, what he gave them? That's what people care about. That's the openness that people want. And here's the big initiative that was being talked about from there. He announced the freeze. Now, the freeze only affects 70% of government spending, and that 70% is for the parts of the government that actually help you and me. The big parts, like defense, those are left alone. Yeah, heaven forbid that we should cut, our defense budget, which we use to attack other countries, um, and use that money to build roads or repair schools or hire firemen or policemen or any of the other kind of useful things we could do with that money. No, it's much more important that we go fuck up countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. All right, let's get into the area of foreign policy and fucking up other countries. First, I want to point out that he talked about foreign policy for about 10 minutes and started nearly an hour into the speech. So clearly it's not something that he cares a whole lot about. And perhaps even something that he's kind of trying to sweep under the rug because he doesn't want people thinking about what I just said. The fact that we're spending tons of money fucking up countries, accomplishing nothing when, people are starving, in our own country. He invoked the Afghan women and children because, we're still clinging to these delusions that we're actually helping the people in Afghanistan. And, regular viewers of my channel are going to realize that, the plight of Afghani women has only gotten worse during the U.S. occupation. We've been there for 8 fucking years, and Afghan women are in a worse situation than they were under the goddamn Taliban. Now, if you don't believe it, you can go look at the comments of Malalai Joy, the bravest woman in Afghanistan. Also talked about how, thanks to the efforts of his administration, we're now doing great work ostracizing North Korea and Iran. And of course, this is just like, what we were doing in Iraq with Saddam Hussein, where we managed to kill 500,000 children while not removing Saddam Hussein. So this is part of the kind of new grand tradition of the United States of punishing the oppressed people who are under dictators for the decisions that those dictators make. Yay. Yay us. And, when he was talking about, the reasons why he hasn't gotten much accomplished in this year, he mostly blamed Republican obstructionism, gave a little bit of blame to his own party and himself. But at one point, he spent a lot of time talking about the loss of trust and faith in our institutions, and acting like, he didn't really know where this was coming from, and that mostly what I think he was saying is that we need to do a better job of communicating what a good job all these institutions are doing, as opposed to saying these institutions are broken and everybody knows it, which is, I think, the source of all of his problems right now. Now, if Obama wants to know why he hasn't gotten anything accomplished, it's because he's not presenting things that anyone can get excited about. They're all so bland and middle of the road and conservative and test marketed and etc. that no one wants to fight for them. And so I'm unwilling to say that, all the problems of the country are mostly because people don't know how well it's working. I think everybody knows that these institutions are debased, that they're not working, that they're failing us. Everybody knows that the country's going in the wrong direction, that where the government is spending the money on the wrong things. It's time for the president and the Congress and everyone else to kind of catch up with the people and realize that our perceptions are not the problem. The problem is that the government is spending its money, our money, on the wrong things. But anyway, it's been Zach Elliott, and you can always feel free to argue. Interested in seeing what other people's impressions are. Take care.